back again, guys. We are back again on the latest movie review once again, and this is the movie that probably most of you guys have probably been wanting to hear me talk about, and that is, what movie is that? That's Fantastic Four: First Steps. This is, what is this? I believe this is the I believe this is the 37th film of for the MCU. I could be wrong. Correct me on that. But First Steps, what did I think of it? I loved it. I loved it. This is definitely the highest grossing Fantastic Four movie. Out of all the Fantastic Four movies that have come out, this is the highest grossing. It did very well at the box office. I don't care what anybody keeps saying it was a flop. It wasn't a flop. Who? It wasn't a flop. They doubled their money to make this film. Last time I checked, this film took about $200 million to make. They doubled it with, I believe, the last time I checked the box office, it was $442.9 million. I don't get the whole concept of, well, they need to break even for it to be a success. If anything, it's a flop. No, it's not. That's so stupid to me. It really is. But outside of that, yes, I loved the film. I loved it. I thought it was great. I didn't mind that it took place in a different universe, an alternate universe. It took place on a different Earth called it was Earth 828, I believe. And it's the 60s, so they really play up the 60s vibe for the first family in this, and I love that. I thought that was smart. Because when did the Fantastic Four first come out? It came out in 1961. So it makes sense. What I love about this film is they don't really go too much into, like, let's redo the origin. We know their origin. We know what happened. So when we pick up with them, they're already they're already famous. They already know what they're the only superheroes on this planet. And I love the montage of seeing them do their thing, in terms of even though, for example, like, we see them fighting the Red Ghost, some of his super apes, but we don't see the Red Ghost. That's who John Malkovich was going to play. They cut his part out. I knew he was playing the Red Ghost. I called that. But we did get to see one of his super apes, and Reed was fighting it. We saw a lot from, just how Vanessa Kirby would play Sue, and she did a fantastic job. I'm gonna get back to her real soon. Pedro Pascal, I thought, was fine as this version of Reed. I loved what they did with Johnny as well. Johnny is my favorite Fantastic Four member. Joseph Quinn. Joseph Quinn was a good Johnny, and Eban Blanche Bacharach. He was a good Ben. He was a good thing. I liked them as Thing. And one of the things I loved about Thing was it reminded me a lot of the classic cartoon from the 90s. When Thing walked, you felt his weight. So when he walked, you actually, boom, you could tell, okay, this guy is heavy. It felt good, and it's the little things that I loved about that. I was like, okay, they're really giving the exposition of how heavy Ben is. So when he walked, you boom, boom, boom. Herbie was great. This is the first time we're actually seeing Herbie live action, and I thought he was great. Julia Gardner, who played this version of the Silver Surfer, Shalaba, I thought they did a good job with her. I loved how when she would, be on the surfboard, it really looked like she was surfing. So they really played that up, like she was riding waves. And there's a couple of scenes where she's chasing the Phantom, and it's kind of scary, and you just see her like she's riding the waves. It was really cool. I really loved that. and we're gonna get to Ralph Ineson, because I got him too. But everything else was really good. Even Mole Man was fine. I was like, okay, there's Mole Man. You know, but my disappointment was we didn't see the Moloids. I was like, no Moloids? Oh, come on! Like, we go underground and we don't see his kingdom. We don't see the Moloids. They could have sprinkled them in. But I really like the way they portrayed this Earth. Like, they're the #1 hero. There is no other hero. So, what would this futuristic, like, 60s New York be without them? They're almost there. You know, everything's about them. Thank you. You know, even when we are introduced to, I guess Natasha Lyonne was supposed to be somewhat the equivalent of Alicia Masters. I really just wish she was just Alicia Masters and not just a random character that kind of Ben has eyes for, and she's kind of cool with it too. I really didn't like. I was like, she should have just been Alicia Masters. But throughout this film, they really played up the rogues gallery of the Fantastic Four. They mentioned the Wizard. They mentioned, I said, the Red Ghost. They mentioned Diablo. They mentioned. No, they didn't mention. They didn't mention Annihilus. No, but those were some of the people they mentioned in the movie. And of course, we saw the birth of Baby Franklin, and he plays a big role in this too. But in terms of the cast, like I said, if I was to say who was the best of the cast members, Vanessa Kirby. Chef's kiss. She was so good in this film as Sue. All I saw was Sue. When even before the way she carried herself, she didn't feel like a nuisance. She damn sure wasn't damsel in distress like they've done in the past with Sue most of the time. You know, she felt like an equal. She felt so much. It was almost to the point, watching her, for me personally, I tried not to compare. But I was like, they're creeping up. The comparison is creeping up. I was like, I'm watching Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, Sue Richards, and I'm like, Jessica Alba, who? What? And then of course I'm forgetting the other actress who played. I'm like, they got nothing on Vanessa Kirby. She was great. Loved it. Number 2, what I also loved about the film, they did make Johnny the overzealous lady man, but not a thinker. Johnny was a thinker, and he was smart in this, and he did some things in this film that made me like, okay, that's great. For example, he deciphered Zenladian language, basically. In a sense, basically, that's what he did. And that's how he was able to kind of get to. He did something really cool to the surfer that I was like, okay, I probably could believe that. But like I said, everybody played their part. I loved it. And now for Mr. Ennison, who played the Big G, Galactus. My boys, when I tell you, I have been waiting, and I have been preaching forever, where I've been telling people, all the haters and all the naysayers, saying they could never do Galactus, he wouldn't feel right, it's not. And I would say to them, are you out of your mind? Yes, they can do it. If they can do the Celestials, they can do another giant. And they did it. I cannot tell you, the moment we got to see him, when he entered Galactus, it's perfect. All you saw was the silhouette of him when they were in his ship. And then of course his eyes lit up. And he stood up, and then you just see the silhouette getting closer. And then when you heard Mr. Anderson's voice, I nearly cried. I geeked out, nearly crying, because I'm like, oh my God. I've been waiting for this. I've been fucking waiting for this for God knows how long. We finally got it, and it was perfect. It was damn near perfect. And to see what Galactus would, if he would have left if the family was to give up just one thing. If you haven't seen it, I'm still not going to spoil it for you. But I loved it when he came in. It was great. I loved how the FF, how they handled the situation. The speech, there's a speech in here that Vanessa Kirby's Sue Richards gives to the people. Loved it. I nearly cried on that too. I was like, damn, that's good. That felt on like some Bill Pullman Independence Day shit. That's how much it hit me, impact. I'm like, oh. And you can understand where she was coming from with that. Because, I'll spoil this for you, because Galactus wanted Franklin. And they have changed Franklin's to basically saying that he's not a mutant, but they said basically he carries the power cosmic in him. And that's why he could do certain things he can. And Galactus wanted him. If they had given Galactus Franklin, he would have left. He wouldn't have, but they didn't. And the people were like, being like, they're being selfish. Why, the one for the sacrifice one for the many. And I love when they came down from the Baxter building and they all stood together, and Sue stepped forward and she gave this great speech on, why she won't give up her child and what she will do. And it was just, I cried on that too, y'all. I really did. I was like, yo, I'm crying again. Like it felt like the same way how if y'all remember Bill Pullman's speech in Independence Day, that was damn near on that same level almost. That's how good it was. I love how they dealt with Galactus. You knew they couldn't beat him in a fight, but they were going to give it a try. There was a scene where Galactus has Reed and he is fucking stretching Reed and just trying to see how far this guy could pull. It's like pulling a Stretch Armstrong, and he's just pulling, and you can see me, if you were in the movie theaters with me, you would just see me going, it was just like that. And I loved how we saw Sue show off just how strong she is, because we all know Sue is the most powerful member of the Fantastic Four. So we got to see that. We got to see Ben say those famous words. I'm not going to ruin where he says it, but he does say it. The one disappointment I have from the film is Johnny not saying his famous words. Ben said it's clobbering time, but Johnny, whenever he flamed on, he never said flame on. That hurt me a little bit. I'm like, wait, no, Johnny better say it, but he did. All in all, this was perfect. I loved they did the smart thing of putting the theme and synopsis of family. I love that. That is the most important thing of the Fantastic Four, and most of the films that have come before it, I wouldn't say they got it wrong, but they didn't feel like sometimes a family. Here, this film, they felt like a family. They really felt like that, and I applaud them for that. I applaud all for the great writing. I know there's a lot of people that didn't want Pedro Pascal as Reed, but he was great. I enjoyed him very much. He wasn't bad, But yeah, they did such an amazing job with this film. I cannot say anymore. I actually saw it twice. The first time I saw it was just a regular, and then I saw it in IMAX. And IMAX really blew up and really emphasized when Galactus came in. I love that. That was great. We see some, some Easter eggs of like Latveria in this, but it is the ending where we do get to see, because there was an after credit, we do get to see a certain masked figure with a now 4-year-old Franklin. And then of course the next credit was the cartoon series that Ben was talking about. But this was just fun. It really was. It was great. And to everybody who went out to see it and enjoyed it too, I'm there with you, because this was great. I loved it. But outside of that, guys, yeah. You guys tell me in the comment section, what did you think of Fantastic Four First Steps? What did you think of the characters? Do you feel like the film hurt that they cut out John Malkovich's Red Ghost? I'd love to hear. Let's get into a conversation. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy it. I will see you guys next time. What will be the next movie review? I don't know. You'll just see when I put something up. Definitely going to see Weapons. So, yeah. But there are some films I might wait. Because if you are also a Patreon member, I just put up a new post and I'm taking polls. Like, would you guys want me to see movie reactions on my Patreon? You tell me. But in the meantime, you guys take care.